Hi students, Mr. C in the wood shop again, and I want to talk to you about the wide belt sander. Here in the shop we have a Semco 1000, which will become your best friend whenever you have to sand a large panel or a large piece of wood flat, okay? But before we go ahead and make any adjustments or talk about internal parts and show you those, I want to lock out the power. There's a little button over here, a little slide handle, turn off the power. So, before we go ahead and start the machine up, I want to talk to you about some of the internal parts in here. So I'm going to open up this side right here, okay? Right now, this is an idler drum, and to get this to drop down, you push this button in, this drops this down to allow us to pull the paper out and replace it, okay? For us, what we're going to do to replace paper, take this handle, loosen this up, we pull this block out, and this would allow for us to pull the paper out. Once we release the idler drum, it comes down and will allow me to pull this paper out, okay? I'm not going to pull this paper out because it's not ready to be changed, but I just wanted to show you how to do that. Then when it comes time to put the paper in, make sure that the paper is running in the correct direction. This paper is going to rotate in this direction like this. Make sure the arrows are going down this way, going this way, and going that way, okay? So I'm going to take this paper, slide this back in, put it about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch from the idler edge in, pull the idler drum air, that'll let that raise up. I'm going to take my block, place this in here, slide this forward, lock this in place. So now I have this all set, okay? One thing I do want to show you is this. I'm going to shut this door. Now let's go to the back of the machine. Okay, in this machine we have 3 separate sensors, and they are going to help the machine run, and it knows whether it's tracking properly or not. We want to make sure that this paper is tracking properly. It doesn't go off to one side or the other, because that way it could cause some damage to the inside parts of the machine, and also it tears up the paper, okay? Also, before you start sanding, you want to look at the paper. Are there any burn marks on this? This one does not. It has a little bit of resin on it, but it's still okay. And we can get still quite a bit of life out of this piece of paper that we have right here right now. But as you can see, there are no burn marks or anything like that, and it is tracking properly so we can sand our material. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this door, shut this. Now, while the machine is running, it will not run, or you will not get the green light to run if this door, that door, or any of the doors on the machine are open. There's a trigger or a sensor switch that will make sure it goes off, okay? So, down here, this is where the power switch is. I'm gonna flip this back on. Power is being delivered to the machine, okay? Now, I've already set this height. Okay, I released the button. Well, actually, let me just do this. When you walk up to the machine, you should have a red light here. The red light means that the brake is on. You want to press the brake release. If it goes green, that means that everything is sitting where it needs to be and the sensors are happy, essentially, okay? So that means you will be able to use this machine, all right? I'm going to go ahead and open this up a little bit. Now, let's just talk about the piece of material. Let's say I planed this board in the planer, then I jointed one edge, then I ripped the other edge, and let's say I cross-cut it, so now I have a square board, right? Now, to get rid of the mill marks that were left from these machines on the surface or the face of the material, what I want to do is, if your eye has not been trained to see the mill marks, is take a pencil and go ahead and mark both faces, so that way I'll know once the pencil line has been removed, I know that the milling marks most likely are removed with that grid, okay? Now when you use the panel sander, you want to make sure that you use the panel sander equally. And what I mean by that is this. On my first pass, I may put the piece of material here. I want to try and keep the material at least a 1/2 inch to 1 inch away from the edge. Then the next pass, say I'm here. The next pass, I'm here. Then vice versa. The fourth pass here, fifth pass, sixth pass, okay? It just happens to be because this piece is that wide, it seems to work out that way, okay? Now, you do not want to take too much material off in a single pass. You can create all kinds of problems with the inside drive drums. The drive drum is a rubberized drum. If you try and take off too much material in a single pass, you could score that drum and then we're in trouble. Because what's going to happen is it's going to shred the paper. And let's say you didn't recognize that, you put a new piece of paper in. As soon as you touch some material to go in there, and it touches the drum on the sandpaper right there, it's going to shred it again. And this isn't cheap paper. So you want to make sure that you don't take off too much material in a single pass. So it's really, really critical that you set this up properly as far as the height, okay? And I'm going to show you. I keep a quarter inside the top drawer of this table saw cabinet. And the reason why I do that is that's the thickness that I need for this to be set up. So I'm going to take my quarter, place it here. Now I have two buttons up here. This one is to open, that means it makes it bigger. This one's to close. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close. Now I just about to touch. Okay, it's touching a little bit. I'm going to open this up just enough to get my quarter out. There. Now I can take my quarter out. Now, please make sure you remember, this is basically not just monetary thing. It's our shim that we need to use for this machine. So I'm going to take this and place this back in this top drawer. That way it's always there for everyone whenever we need to use it. Okay? So now, let's talk a little bit about some of the safety things. When I'm putting my material in here, I want to make sure my hand does not get pinched inside of here. I make sure my hands are 4 inches away from here. I've let the material go into the machine. It's going to ride in at a specific feet per minute rate that's already set up by the machine. Once the material is in the machine about halfway, you can walk around to grab it in the outside or the outfeed bed, okay? I do not want to start running this machine until it's running at 4 RPM. Now there's something you need to know about this. I do not want to push both buttons at the same time, okay? We don't want to overload the machine. What we want to do is we want to press the finisher first. Once we've pressed the finisher, this load meter is going to jump all the way up to 150%, come back down. Once it comes back down, I can start the conveyor, okay? When I'm done using it, yes, I can go ahead and turn the power off. That's different, okay? Also, we have a hand counter here, or a wheel counter. This wheel counter happens to be at 700, which seems kind of unique, but that does not mean that it's a specific thickness at this time, all right? But the one thing you want to remember is do not subtract more than 10 numbers per pass. That's the maximum amount that you can take off per pass. We never want to see this load meter jump